I'll talk about the design of molecular motors, and in the second part, I'll talk about excited state studies of organic chromophores. So now I'll start with molecular motors part. Molecular motors are molecules that produce controlled and repetitive mechanical motion by absorbing external energy like light or chemical energy. Moreover, the mechanical motion must produce net work. Molecular motors that produce translational motion are known as linear molecular motors, and molecular motors that produce rotary motion are known as rotary molecular motors. Rotary molecular motors are characterized by 360-degree unidirectional rotary motion. In human body, there are two classes of rotary molecular motors: ATP synthesis that synthesize ATP, the energy currency of cell, and ATPases that transport protons. They use either electrochemical ion gradients or chemical energy from ATP hydrolysis. Inspired by nature's biological motors, the design of synthetic molecular motors was first envisioned by Richard Feynman. In his 1959 talk, "There is plenty of room at the bottom." However, his idea was not realized until late 1990s. In 1999, Feringa developed the first synthetic molecular motor. As we know, Feringa, along with Sean Pierre, Sauvage and Fraser-Stoddart, received the 2016 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the design and synthesis of molecular machines. Sauvage and Stoddart developed mechanical interlocked molecular machines, whereas Feringa developed rotary molecular motors. This thesis focuses on rotary molecular motors. Feringa's molecular motors are based on overcrowded alkenes. This picture shows the chemical structure of the first synthetic molecular motor. I call this motor 1 hereafter. This motor features two identical halves. In its functionalized form, one of the half is immobilized to a surface, so it will be static. This is called stator. The other half that rotates is called rotator. This rotates about the central double bond, and this is the axle for rotation. And then this motor has two important chiral features. These are the two stereo centers, one on the upper half and one on the lower half, and two helical motifs. These chiral features are important for the unidirectional rotary motion of the motor. This slide shows the rotary cycle of the motor 1, the first synthetic motor developed by Feringa. This rotary cycle consists of 4 discrete steps, 2 photochemical steps and 2 thermal steps. Step 1 and step 3 are photochemical steps, and step 2 and step 4 are thermal steps. The rotary cycle can be described as follows. Starting from the pp trans1 isomer, irradiation of this isomer with UV light induces a double bond photoisomerization reaction, producing the MM-cis2 isomer. This isomer is strained because of steric interaction between the two halves and the two methyl substituents. Because of this isomer cannot further photoisomerize. This strain can be released by providing thermal energy, resulting in PP-cis2 isomer. Irradiation of this isomer once again with UV light induces a double bond photoisomerization, producing MM-trans1 isomer. This photoisomerization proceeds in the same direction as the initial photoisomerization, thereby producing a complete 360-degree rotary motion. And this photochemical step is followed by another thermal step that releases the strain and returns the system to the initial PP trans1 state, thus completing a 360-degree rotary cycle. The photochemical steps 1 and 3 are very fast. They occur in few picoseconds or even femtoseconds for other type of motors. The thermal steps are slow. They limit the overall rotational frequency that can be achieved by the motor. The rotary motion is controlled by the steric interactions. Because of these interactions, the two photochemical steps occur in the same direction, and the two thermal steps are irreversible. By being irreversible, these thermal steps block the back rotations of the photoisomerization products MM-cis2 and MM-trans1. However, one problem with this rotary motor is the thermal barriers, which are rate limiting, are very high, about 105 kJ per mole, which means that for completing one full rotation, it takes about 400 hours. Therefore, it is of no practical use. Experimental efforts have been invested to accelerate the thermal isomerizations. This resulted in motors that can achieve megahertz rotational frequencies because of relatively small thermal barriers of about 35 kJ per mole. One more distinction between the first motor and the megahertz capable motor 2, I call this motor 2 hereafter, is In motor 1, there are two stereo centers, one on each half and two helical motifs. However, in motor 2, there is only one stereo center and one helical motif on rotator. One important thing I should emphasize here is that almost all synthetic molecular motors have a stereo center and a helical motif, which is important for controlling the direction of the rotary motion and achieve unidirectional rotary motion. My thesis is focused on these two goals. First, understanding the thermal isomerization mechanism of the available motors and design new motors with better performance. In papers 1 and 2, we have considered the thermal isomerization mechanisms of the megahertz capable motor 2 that I have shown in the earlier slides. Through DFT calculations, we have found that the thermal isomerization proceeds by a three-step mechanism. In the first two steps, this mechanism involves a change in the helicity of the rotator from P to M, and in the last step, there is a ring flip in the stator relative to the central olefinic plane. Through calculations, we found that this step is the rate determining step. As from omega B97XT, the barrier for this step is 43 kilojoule per mole. This is in good agreement with the experimental value of 35 kilojoule per mole. An important feature of this reaction is the reaction proceeds in an exergonic fashion. Thereby, the reaction, by being irreversible, back rotations of the photoisomerization products. An undesirable feature we have observed is there is a possible side reaction that could impede with the rotary rate. Having found the thermal isomerization mechanisms of motor 2, then we have computationally designed several new molecular motors, either by changing the steric bulkiness of the stator substituent or by changing the steric bulkiness of the rotator substituent. Through our calculations, we have found that all these motors follow the same thermal isomerization mechanism as this motor, motor 2. And also for this motor's third step is the rate determining step. Moreover, we have found that the stator substituent exerts no steric influence on the thermal isomerization. That is, it does not contribute to the steric interactions between the two halves. However, the rotator substituent has a large influence. We have found that by optimizing the steric bulkiness of the rotator substituent, we can lower the barriers by about 20 kilojoule per mole. We have found that the bulkiness of rotator substituent exerts a delicate steric influence on the thermal isomerizations. Having found in paper 2 that steric bulkiness of the stator substituent has no influence on the thermal isomerizations, in paper 3 we have considered the electronic character of the stator substituent. Specifically, we have considered three different motors that are megahertz capable, and then we have placed either electron withdrawing or electron donating groups in conjugation with the central olefinic bond. Through DFT calculations, we have explored the thermal isomerizations. We have found that electron withdrawing groups exert no influence on the thermal isomerizations. However, the electron donating groups can lower the rate determining barriers by about 20 kilojoule per mole. The reason for such behavior is electron donating groups exert a favorable steric influence. They ease the ring flip by making the stator flatter. Having proposed steric and electronic approaches in papers 2 and 3, in paper 4, we proposed a conformational approach to accelerate the rate limiting thermal isomerizations. Particularly, we have considered three experimentally available motors which are megahertz capable as our reference, and we have reduced the sizes of the stator and rotator, yielding the three redesigned motors with X equal to either CH2, oxygen or sulfur. Through DFT calculations, we have found that the rate determining barriers can be lowered by up to 25 kilojoule per mole for these redesigned motors relative to reference motors. And also by cos-SCF calculations, we have shown that these motors can achieve unidirectional rotary motion. The reason for such behavior is that the redesigned motors have fewer number of conformations than reference motors, so they isomerize in only 2 steps, whereas the reference motors, they isomerize in 3 steps. Also, there is the side reaction that we have predicted in paper 2 for the reference motor is not predicted for redesigned motors. So these motors appear dynamically more favorable. So far in papers 1 to 4, we have proposed steric, electronic and conformational approaches to accelerate the thermal isomerizations. But then it would be natural to ask, can we avoid the thermal isomerizations altogether and achieve rotary motion in a purely photochemical fashion? However, thermal isomerizations are important because they block the photoinduced back rotations. Therefore, a relevant question could be, can we avoid thermal isomerization but still achieve unidirectionality? One more interesting question is, so far as you have seen, all the motors, all the molecular motors are chiral. They have stereo center and a helical motif. But can we eliminate the stereo center and still achieve unidirectional rotary motion? These two questions intrigued us, and then we have designed a new motor in paper 5. This is not based on overcrowded alkene design, but the protonated shift-based design, which is inspired from the retinol chromophore of the visual pigment rhodopsin, which is responsible for the vision. So here, a protonated shift-based motor. It comprises a cyclohexanidine motif attached to a pyrrolinium moiety. Through calculations, we have shown that this motor can achieve purely photochemical motion, rotary motion, without the need of thermal isomerizations. And also you can see from the structure here that there is no stereo center in the motor. The rotary motion can be controlled by the orientation of this 5' carbon. This 5' carbon can be either outward of the plane or inward of the plane due to the intrinsic asymmetry of the cyclohexanidine. And by the orientation of this carbon, we can control whether the motor rotates counterclockwise or clockwise. To model the photoisomerizations, first we have performed static cos SCF calculations to see that S1 is the optically bright state in which the photoisomerization occurs. Then we have performed non-adiabatic molecular dynamics simulations using forces computed on the fly from cos SCF theory. So totally there are 4 isomers, E out, E in, and Z in and Z out. So therefore we have total of 4 photoisomerizations. For each photoisomerization, we have computed 200 different trajectories with different initial conditions, and the maximum simulation time we have used is 700 femtoseconds. The key results of the simulations are shown in this figure. Firstly, we can see that the percentage of trajectories that photoisomerize are very high, more than 90%. And second, you can see that the average photoisomerization time is very fast. The photoisomerization is very fast. The average photoisomerization time ranges from 250 to 270 femtosecond, which is typical of the photoisomerization in the retinal chromophore of the visual pigment rhodopsin. And third, we can see that the 2 photoisomerizations E out to Z in and Z in to E out proceed in a counterclockwise fashion, whereas E into Z out and Z out to E in proceed in clockwise fashion. Thus, E out and Z in is a rotary motor with counterclockwise directionality, and E in and Z out constitute a clockwise rotary motor. This rotary motion can be visualized from these pictures, from this movie. This movie is a combination of 2 different photoisomerizations, E out to Z in and Z into E out, both proceed in counterclockwise fashion. So to conclude the first part of the thesis, we have proposed a variety of new overcrowded alkene-based molecular motors by tailoring steric, electronic, and conformational properties. Most of these motors have better thermal isomerization performance than the synthetically available motors. Also, most of the synthetically available motors, almost all I can say, have a stereo center, but we have shown that this is not a requirement for achieving unidirectional rotary motion. Looking into the future, we would like to design motors that can operate in biocompatible conditions by absorbing visible or near IR light. This is important because most of the synthetically available motors absorbs in UV region, which is not good for biological applications. A natural next step in this field would be to design molecular motors that can be incorporated into nano devices to perform useful mechanical tasks such as molecular transport. Now I proceed to the second part of my thesis, excited state studies of organic chromophores, which is slightly different from what we have been discussing. for single reference valence excited states of organic molecules, it is definitely possible to simplify the calculation of CC2 quality 00 energies by using CC2 only for the vertical term and using TDDFT for the remaining terms. Although this result may not be surprising, this is the first time that such possibility is rigorously explored for a large number of chemical systems and methods. One more interesting result we found in this study is that the delta delta EAD and delta delta E00 terms found to vary very little between different chemical systems, although systems considered vary in size between 10 and 80 atoms. This indicates the similarity between the chemical systems that we have considered, all are of single reference valence type and all are planar and rigid chromophores. Looking into future, we would like to develop more generally applicable composite procedures that can handle charge transfer or Rydberg states. And also we would like to design procedures that introduce empirical parameters to further improve the accuracy. So this concludes my thesis. I would like to thank my supervisor Boo and Union Farm and all the people in theoretical chemistry at IFM, and finally all of you for your attention.